Brilliant.
It's astonishing how many times in his matches this week rusedski has done this.
40.
Absolutely perfect return of serve, right in the middle of that racket break point.
Juice.
Well, that was such a good second serve, 103 miles an hour, curling out wide. Made the timing so difficult, the spin.
Advantage, Ivanisevic.
Well, full marks for trying, but the volley simply too good. And Ivanisevic now with his first set point.
Game in second set, Ivanisevic 6-4.
Finished in
One
some
set
style. And a delight there among the Croatian supporters.
Final set. Rusedski to serve.
After 54 minutes, 55 now. 1-7.
More. 30 more. Game Rusedski. First game, final set.
And it was almost, Bill, as if he was just furious with himself that he let that service game go towards the end of that second set, and he's saying, I'll show you.
Absolutely that. I mean, that final serve there, 131 miles an hour, it's sort of par for the course for rusedski. But equally fast did appear the final serve of Ivanisevic to close out that first set, and yet it was 10 miles an hour slower, and yet it seemed to me just as fast. Maybe I'm reading this wrong, but he serves an awful number of aces, Ivanisevic, but never really as fast as the likes of rusedski and Philippoussis. He's usually in this match anyway, he's been in the sort of 115, 116 miles an hour bracket, whereas rusedski has been solidly up in the 125, sometimes over 130.
I think the positive thing to take out of this, win or lose today, is that that wrist is clearly perfectly all right, or he couldn't serve like this.
Thank goodness, yeah, absolutely. These players, when you ask them how they are, they say, yeah, I'm fine, but, you know, sometimes they're hiding things. Most players have an injury of some sort. And it's certainly, we're thankful that rusedski appears to be fully fit, and Henman for that matter.
Love one, final set.
Oh!
More.
Well, now, I wonder if rusedski just touched that with his racket or not.
30 more.
Because if he didn't, then that was the 9th ace for Ivanisevic, drawing him level with rusedski.
Game Ivanisevic. 1 game all.
Well, when the points are happening so fast and the ball is being hit so hard, as we've suggested earlier, concentration of prime importance. The least slip and your opponent is through. Winning from the back of the court, which is not the most usual thing on his own serve.
30 love.
Into the lead, 10-9.
Game rusedski. Rusedski leads by 2-1.
Well, really, that is blistering serving. Is there anything you can do as the receiver to counter this?
You can do things, can't you? The main thing to do is pray, I would think, against this sort of serving, really. But you can stand in closer because that affects the server's line of sight and makes him quite often serve short. But so far we've had 3 service games, no answer from either player against serve. So 3 love service games, and takes me back about 15 years, John, to this court, McEnroe playing Brian Gottfried, when they played the first 8 games and there wasn't a single point against the serve. It was absolutely extraordinary. It can be boring, but I don't find this boring. I think they're serving with variation and intelligence and brilliance.
Time.
Just look at the rusedski serve. It's a very animal, sort of very physical serve. The body goes right into it. He jumps, throws himself forward. It's a very good action. Very different to Ivanisevic with his square-on approach and his feet wide apart. Very different sorts of beginning to the serve.
Law 15. Oh. 15 all.
Well, is this going to be one of those games when the concentration slips?
Out. 30 all.
Wonderfully courageous of Ivanisevic to leave it, because leave it he did. He could have played it.
I think a factor here is that rusedski, as he showed there, is more adept at getting the very difficult returns of serve back.
Well, yes, it is one of those games where the concentration slips. 2 double faults in it, a missed volley. So I wonder if rusedski will be able to convert here.
Advantage, Ivanisevic. Net, first serve. Game Ivanisevic. 2-game.
So Ivanisevic pulling out 2 good serves when he was just looking a little bit wobbly. Full marks to him. 2-all, final set.
Rusedski then apologising to that ball girl, the ball hit, because he knocked her over yesterday in the knock-up, in the warm-up. He delivered a serve at that girl far left, her, and knocked her flat.
30-ball. Thirty, 15.
This is such a good volley.
40-15.
It may not look a lot, because it does come in a reasonable position, a little bit of foot movement, but it was so solid and so sensible to hit it back behind his opponent.
Game Rusedski. New balls. Rusedski leads by 3-2.
Well, you heard the voice of Paulo Pereira call new balls. So sometimes when the balls are changed, the slightly different flight through the air will affect one or other of the players. It's been a marvellously efficient game to watch. The way they've held the rhythm on their serves and haven't wavered when they're hitting it so very hard, and it's a very difficult thing to do.
Yes, I always feel that when we show a particularly brilliant point in slow motion, it cannot look brilliant, really, because everything is slowed down so much that you think, well, the guy's got plenty of time to play that shot in. But it's split-second timing going on out here, particularly in return of serve. I've just been so impressed with the way, particularly Greg Rusedski has returned some awful bullets wide of him, particularly on the backhand, where the wrist works perhaps more, a little more easily. But he's getting the ball back an awful lot, Rusedski, and that's something he perhaps used not to do as much in the past. He was sort of flash in the pan, big server, okay. But now there's an awful lot of intelligence in his game, and I think once again you've got to thank his coach.
Fifteen more. Thirty more.
Supreme confidence to be able to go for such an attacking second serve.
Game Ivanisevic.